The key issue for me was I needed to scale. There's only one of me. I can only do so many workshops and live events in a year. And we have some digital. The key issue for me was I needed to scale. There's only one of me. I can only do so many workshops and live events in a year. And the key issue for me was I needed to scale. There's only one of me. I can only do so many workshops and live events in a year. And we have some digital programs, and I wanted to learn how to sell those in the education space.
I had already been through several accelerator programs. We had
And we have some digital programs, and I wanted to learn how to sell those in the education space.
I had already been through several accelerator programs. We had the beginnings of product market fit, and I wanted to figure out exactly how to nail the go-to-market strategy.
Parents we talked to and told them about the solution that we've come up with, every one of them is ready to bang down the door.
Exactly how to nail the go-to-market strategy.
Parents we talked to and told them about the solution that we've come up with, every one of them is ready to bang down the door wanting to subscribe to it. We couldn't get that same message across to the EdTech apps that we need to integrate with and the schools that we needed to pilot with. And so it was super frustrating, a lot of banging our heads against the wall.
It comes back down to being able to predict a cash flow. So the workshop season is very seasonal, really nice in the spring, really nice in the fall, but how are we going to build that consistency through the year?
What investors want to see is they want to see a replicable go-to-market strategy that can grow and scale. And I think a sales engine is a huge piece of that. And so to have a thought partner, a coach who could help us refine that was extremely appealing to me.
I didn't have a presence online. There was no LinkedIn profile. I mean, I had a LinkedIn page, but there was no banner, there were no hashtags, there wasn't even an About Us section. And if we're, entering into, there were no hashtags, there wasn't even an About Us section. There were no hashtags, there wasn't even an About Us section. And if we're, there were no hashtags, there wasn't even an About Us section. And if we're, entering into pitch competitions or accelerator programs or trying to get customers or trying to get schools or whoever it might be, one of the first places they're going to look is LinkedIn. And if they saw my page, they weren't going to take us very seriously. And that was where I really needed the help and what take us very seriously. And that was where I really needed the help and what made me turn to Ed Sales Elevation Experience.
One of the first things we
take us very seriously. And that was where I really needed the help and what made me turn to Ed Sales Elevation Experience.
One of the first things we took away in those first couple of weeks, realizing that it wasn't about selling ourselves in a one of the first things we took away in those first couple of weeks, realizing that it wasn't about selling ourselves in a uncomfortable or violating way at all. It had everything to do with authentic human build. And that's really what we saw some results in relatively quickly.
We started hitting LinkedIn really hard. I'm updating my headline, We started hitting LinkedIn really hard. I'm updating my headline, that we workshopped, and I'm like adding some descriptions and treating LinkedIn more like a sales page and trying to post more often. Fast forward 2 months of doing that really hard work, I got invited to sit on a panel at DC Startup Week. Fast forward 2 months of doing that really hard work, I got invited to sit on a panel at DC Startup Week. Fast forward to now, approximately 6 months later, at DC Startup Week. Fast forward to now, approximately 6 months later, new conversations with leads. Approximately 6 months later, new conversations with leads that have gone cold just because they've realized our train is moving because of all the things that we're posting online. Approximately 6 months later, new conversations with leads that have gone cold just because they've realized our train they've realized our train is moving because of all the things that we're posting online, and it makes them want to get on board.
The impact was felt right away because the very first session, we talked about the ideal client for us, and we really made a lot of progress right away.
You were the only person talking about leads in the education sector and having a system to just have leads on repeat. We had certain breakfasts, like certain superintendent PD days where we would go in and lead a presentation, and that worked. The challenge is they're sporadic, they're infrequent. It's not something you could do on a daily or weekly basis. And also cold emails, reaching out. It's just, how do you break through that inbox of hundreds of emails that principals get? And so that was something that spoke to me about the program and some of the challenges we were having before. And I think it's just, how do you break through that inbox of hundreds of emails that principals get? And so that was something that spoke to me about the program and some of the challenges we were having before. And I think your strategy with LinkedIn is just much smarter and much more effective.
The other thing that I think happened in the first few weeks was realizing that there was a system that we could tap into, and having a system allows us to build habits, and building habits and repeating those behaviors builds confidence.
I think without having that system in place, I feel like it's a balancing act. You're constantly having to figure out how to get the leads while also focus on other areas to grow the business and focus on all the other things as an entrepreneur. So to have a repeat, reliable system in place is, I think, crucial. And gives more peace of mind as a business owner.
You are looking right at education companies, and that's huge. Like, I don't know anybody else out there who's doing that, and that's obviously, as an ed tech company, that's obviously what we needed.
All the work we did in our LinkedIn profiles just continues to grow and pay off. Do feel like an authority. My LinkedIn is growing by dozens of people a day, which is amazing. So all this stuff is building and building and building.
Like, the myth of sales has to be like diminishing, and you have to like put yourself in like a couture gold gown and step forward with glass slippers. And no, that's not how it is. It's like learning how to be present and build awareness around your brand, learning how to have those conversations.
The signature solution, because that was such a game changer for me, but like the stuff before it was a game changer too, you know, like the raise your hand interview, we were building, we were going somewhere.
The process of formulating the signature solution led to clearer messaging and enabled us to resonate with even more buyers. So, you know, of 6 people we might talk to, each 6 might pick out a different thing that's important to them, but we resonate with all of them because they're all in our signature solution.
There was a big conference coming up, ERDI, with superintendents all discussing innovations in education. And I thought to myself, hey, this could be an opportunity to look at the signature solution and share it and see what feedback I get. We had one superintendent say, hey, I like that. We had another one take out their phone and take a picture of the signature solution. A lot of them just leaned in and were really, it kind of made the vision clear about what we were doing and gave them a sense of certainty that we had all the pieces along the way that made this a different process to get the outcome that we wanted and something that they couldn't replicate on their own. So I think it's efficient because it shows the different parts of the process and it shows the transformation that's happening at each stage. And based upon their feedback to that page, it lets us hone in on where they're really interested or what they want more clarification on.
What I didn't realize I was signing up for is like, you're signing up to be in this amazing community, and it's a community of people who are at all different places in their businesses, and everyone's really supportive.
That cohort that we had was amazing. Right off the bat, Josh, even in the first few weeks, you know how it takes time for a group to kind of bond and kind of get to know each other, and there's a safety and a trust that needs to be established. You establish that really quickly.
Like it's having that ability to network with like-minded individuals, hold each other accountable, encourage whatever people need. For me, this was the perfect fit because I needed that accountability. Like it's phenomenal.
Running a business is really hard and it's lonely. And so they offer you a group of people who are going through the same thing that you can lean on, that you can ask questions to, that can support you, and that you can support and you can give advice to. That type of collegiality among CEOs is invaluable because there's really not a lot of other places to get that.
This program stands out for me because the community that's being built, the authenticity and the ability to challenge and soundboard beyond just the program itself. That was a big reason why I also signed up. So Josh, thank you for making the space and for going beyond what a typical program offers.
We got invited to a career fair last minute, and then at that fair met two more people who looked at our product and they were like, we need this. Let's talk.
Pre-3E, I had never been on a podcast before, had not written an article for an education magazine, but post-3E, this is fourth or fifth podcast I've been on, and it's a very short period since we finished the course and now 4 to 5 podcasts plus this article that was published in a magazine.
I can't imagine I would have gotten to that place without having gone through the course. And it all goes back into just systematizing and automating a little bit.
No integrations prior to doing the 3E course. And we should have 20 integrations after this meeting today. Going from 0 to 20 is huge. We had 0 schools who were interested in piloting for us. We now have 2 who are showing interest and are talking to us about starting that pilot program in the fall. So, those 3 right there are huge.
We had about 10 meetings since the cohort ended with superintendents or principals where we're sharing the signature solution. And we received positive feedback in each of those. And we're in the process of enrolling our first district outside of New York, just across the country. We're looking at different markets. And so we're in that place to expand. And one of them is close to happening.
Your program allowed me to help me generate leads in a way that was authentic.
I'm really grateful that I took the Ed Sales Elevation experience because I feel like I got to start my business on the right foundation. By thinking about and writing the signature solution, it gave me such a wonderful platform for building up. And so I'm still building up, but I feel so much more confident about where I'm going. I just feel like I'm going in the right direction from the very beginning, which is going to be such a time saver, money saver, headache saver overall that I'm grateful for that.
We had so many improvements, and I left with actual feedback that we then translated to our digital assets, which I then presented in front of hundreds of people to great success.
Not trying to sound overly dramatic, but if we hadn't have done the Ed Sales Elevation experience, I'm not sure we would be around right now. And instead of going from where we were, where you're starting to have some tough conversations, to where we are now, I feel like we are just about at the top because of the position that 3E has put us in terms of improving our messaging, improving our storytelling, improving our confidence, improving our ability to become thought leaders in the space, and just getting out there with various materials that we didn't have before that have helped us close deals and lock in interested parties. It was a big deal.
Hello, 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 everybody. 10 o'clock in the East. And I make a point to say that because this is our first masterclass that we are doing from the East Coast, maybe ever. Ken, who is my producer, my right-hand man, can let me know if that is true. Then we've got Alvin, who's on my left hand, helping me. Guys, give me the signal that we are live in the private chat here. Let me know. And then I will get us off and running. We are live is what Ken is telling me. So that's good. Welcome, everybody. And welcome from wherever you are. Let us know. We've got our chat open. And so it's always helpful to kind of understand where people are in the world, what their business is in the education space. Feel free to put your LinkedIn profile as well, so we can connect on LinkedIn. We've got a really good group of people who have signed up for this masterclass. I know that we have people from the United States, from Canada, from Scotland, Andrew Taylor, from the Philippines. So we're checking in from multiple continents, which is awesome, across multiple time zones. We're going to have a great masterclass today. This comes at a really good time. This comes at a really important time. Okay. And Charlottesville, Virginia, beautiful Charlottesville, Virginia. If you ever get a chance to go to that part of the world, Charlottesville is a beautiful place. Leslie, hello. Leslie and I got a chance to talk yesterday, and so our conversation will continue here. The reason this masterclass is so important today is because most of you have deployed into the schools for the fall. And I hate to tell you this, but you probably already know that now that you have deployed, it's time to start thinking about sales for the winter and then for next fall. Okay? So that's the good news, is that you've deployed really well. And there's no bad news, but it's time to start thinking about next year. So Isabella, nice to see you. Isabella did a fantastic job. Just rocked it up in New York a couple of weeks ago at the Milken Finals. Way to go. Super inspiring. Claire, hello from Buffalo. And then we've got Fairfax County. And Nicole, how you doing? So we've got some people checking in here. And then way to go, Ken, my producer, bringing up the chat. That's like live TV, guys. I love that. That's live TV. Ken, since we are live, and clearly you have the controls going on here, we can stop the thing on the bottom, the LinkedIn thing. I could probably do that, but I don't want to, take us off the air here. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes for people to check in and say hi. And then we will take off here in about 50 seconds or so. We've got Joe checking in. Nicole, Joe, yes, go Eagles, blah, blah, blah. Fine. We all know you won the Super Bowl. Is that all you guys say? It's like every time I meet somebody from Philadelphia, nice to meet you, go Birds. I feel like that's all you guys say. But you guys could say worse. So we're going to wait for a couple more people to check in. Newport, Rhode Island. Look at the lead team partner folks checking in. This is awesome. Went to a wonderful conference with this group led by Chris Pryor in where were we? Falls Church. I guess that's Falls Church. Wonderful group of people in the independent school part of the education space. So what we're going to do here is get the masterclass started. I'd love to just say hi to everybody. Leslie from Colorado checking in as well. Leslie and I got a chance to talk yesterday. Isabella, you nailed it. You nailed it. So what I'm going to do here, you guys will see some behind the scenes, is I am going to share my screen. This is, as we know, live TV. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to bring up our deck here. So you're seeing what I see. We're going to enter full screen mode. And Ken, if you can tell me here in the chat that everything is good, then I will rock and roll, and we'll get going. We are here for this 5-step sales plan for education founders to generate leads. If you are here and you're outside the education space, that is fine. That is fine, but this is really built for education founders, CEOs, CROs, and this time of year, because this is a critical time of year. Another critical part is, please, if you want this deck, we're always happy to share the deck, but I just ask that you ask us for the deck, and we will share it. So as I've pointed out, and as most of you guys know in the education space, fall isn't just another quarter. It's really, as we have here said, it's the final sprint. It's the final countdown. And hopefully everybody has deployed into K-12 or higher ed for the fall season, and you've got, everything moving in the right direction. September was always a time when I ran my after-school enrichment and aftercare business where I was very hands-off, and my ops team was very hands-on, and they asked me to be very hands-off. That's fair. So assuming you have started off well, now is the time to begin to reopen conversations with the leads that you want to see close in winter and the leads that you want to see close potentially in the fall of 2026. So this masterclass, as we are showing you, is really about your chance to stop chasing leads, your chance to stop waiting on referrals, and your chance to start booking qualified calls consistently. Consistency is what we're looking for. Consistency is really why I started this business, because I found out that I had consistency in running both of my companies in the education space when it came to leads. Granted, my operations were always a mess, but that's when I handed them over. But a lot of folks didn't have consistency. So if you know me, speaking of consistency, you know that I like a good agenda, a nice agenda. So we're in part one. We're going to talk about specifically when it comes to Flex Academies, this business I was just referencing. We're going to go through those 5 steps. We're going to look at the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. Yes, guys, that's the sales part. It will be coming. And we will have a Q&A. So I hope that this is you and that your computer is just shooting dollar bills out or bigger. But if it's not, that's okay. We're going to talk about how we make your computer do that. We've got a 5-step sales plan for you that is specifically built for this time of year. Now, take a second and imagine, please, what it would feel like to be this guy. Okay? He is super happy, right? And I want you to be happy, and I want you to feel what it would feel like to have 3 highly qualified sales calls in your calendar each week. And imagine what that would do for you, because it would be big. I'll tell you a couple things that would happen. If you just close 2 of them each week, that would help you grow your business this fall and beyond. Fall is here. Okay, guys? And so is that pressure. And if you had those leads coming in, you could stop burning time and money on the marketing that's not doing what you want it to do. You can stop stressing over where that next client is coming from, and you can stop juggling it all alone, because you can finally build a team. And you can be this guy. Okay? You can finally have leads on tap. And I love this picture because this guy looks like Ken from our team. And so we always leave this picture out. He threatens to take it out. And then I say, no. We got to leave that puppy in. You would be Ken, leads on tap, always smiling. And you finally have a real business. And a real business means that you have leads coming in and you're less worried about where those leads are coming from, and you can focus on your business. And again, the cool thing is that it doesn't have to be just 3 to 5 calls booked in your calendar each week. Yeah, this part isn't capped. Let's get you to 10. Let's get you to 20. Let's get you to 50. The idea here is that this is going to be repeatable and this is going to be scalable. That's what we want. We want repeatable and scalable. Repeat leads and scalable in the sense of we figure out what's working for you. I believe lead gen is very personal in the education space. Let's figure out what's working for you, what feels good, and then let's scale that. And I know it can be tough. I have been that guy right there. Not necessarily looking at graphs and spreadsheets, because that's not my thing. But I've been wondering where the next lead is going to come from, and that's not a good feeling. And you kind of look around, you say, everybody else is getting the leads on repeat. I want that to be me. And you're wondering what's missing. And I can tell you that most of what you have heard about lead gen is probably wrong. And I'm going to try and correct a few of those things. And by the way, Ken and Alvin, my amazing producers, let me know if anything's going wrong in the private chat, because, you know, I get rolling on this stuff and I get excited. And if there's a good question, send it through. You guys know I'm with you. Now, let's talk about myth number 1. And I think Alvin's going to send this puppy in, or maybe it's Ken. There it is. Look how beautiful that is. Myth number 1, just show up and post content consistently on social media. I know most of the people that are here right now, I can see the list. I know that we've talked about the fact that we have all tried to post content consistently on social media and nobody responds. It's like being in a room alone and wondering if anybody is going to talk back to you. And when you're in the room alone, nobody's going to talk back. That's what it feels like when you're just posting content consistently on social media. Myth number 1, you can't do that and expect leads to come in. Myth number 2, go to a bunch of conferences. Talk to as many people as possible. Hand out those business cards. Let me tell you what, guys, those business cards generally end up, unfortunately, either being left at the hotel or sitting in your desk. And shoot, I've got a few right here. I do. And they just sit there in your desk. And even if you reach out to those people, they probably gave you that business card so they could walk away. Unfortunately, they might not be interested. Myth number 3, pay for expensive Facebook ads and just cross your fingers. Well, even if your Facebook ads aren't expensive and you're just rolling the dice, and it does feel like gambling on just a few dollars of Facebook ads, it's not worth your time, because your time is money. Your time is money. So that's a myth that you can just pay for Facebook ads and leads will come in. Myth number 4, and this is a dangerous one. This is a dangerous one, and I'm repeating it. So if you've seen my masterclass before, I'm bringing this back up again. Do not buy a list of leads and try to sell to them. First of all, you need to nurture people. We'll talk about that. Second of all, if you buy a list, most likely that list is outdated. And if you send it from your top level domain, which is the email address you use all the time, it's probably going to hurt that domain. Please be very careful about that. if you're sending cold emails from your top level domain, and if what I'm saying right now doesn't make sense to you, reach out to me directly, please, so I can help you save your domain. So not only does trying all these things keep you stuck and feeling confused, these methods aren't working, and we call them slow burn methods. And we'll get into that later. So what you should be doing is looking for a better, scalable, repeatable way. And you need to think of a better, scalable, repeatable way to get you leads in the education space, not just from anybody else, but look to me, look to other people who know the education space well, because this is a very tough place to sell. I'm going to tell you more about that today. And the good news is we have helped 168 and counting education entrepreneurs and founders. We're going to talk to you more today about how you can get the leads that you want. I pause for emphasis. The leads that you want, not just any leads. How is it possible? It's possible with the Ed Sales Elevation Experience Lead Generation Blueprint. Thank you for asking. We're going to make sure you guys get that blueprint as you get out the door today. And if you stay until the end, we'll really talk to you about your own lead generation blueprint, because that is what you need. It's a gift from me to you. And as fall starts coming around, I think we're beginning to think about the holidays, which is really exciting. Who am I? I am Josh Chernikoff. I have founded, I have started, I have scaled 2 companies in the education space. I am originally born and raised in Washington, D.C. My family spent the last 4 years on and off living in beautiful San Miguel de Allende in the middle of Mexico. And we are now back full-time in Northwest Washington, D.C. Wonderful city, despite what some people hear. It is an absolutely gorgeous city. I was driving home last night after celebrating the Jewish New Year with my family, and just in awe of this city. That's who I am. Today, you're with us because you want to build that repeatable and scalable lead gen system. Today, you're with us because you want more ease and joy in running your business. Today, you're with us because you want to focus on serving your clients. And today, you're with us because you hopefully want to spend more time with your family and your friends. And I want to help you do that. And you can do all of that when you have leads on repeat. That is winning. Winning cures all. So this will be, hopefully, the most important masterclass you watch this fall. It's going to be a game changer. And it's not going to be a do-nothing masterclass. Okay? It's not a do-nothing. So I encourage you to grab a paper and a pen or whatever you use, Remarkable, or take notes, because you're going to need it. Let's silence our phones. Let's get that pen and paper. Let's get going. Now, look how I start you off. A wonderful picture of our daughter Camila wearing a Flex Academy shirt. Flex Academies was my business, my second business that I started and scaled and sold. But I started this one from the ground up, and I had no experience really selling B2B in the education space. And the truth was, I didn't even have really any contacts, because my previous business was a B2C. It was a tutoring company. I was working directly with parents. I had no idea how to sell to schools. Again, the fact was that my business, my background was in the National Football League. I was working for the then Washington Redskins. And it was a tough place to work. The team lost on the field, and they lost even more off the field. So I had no background in education. I knew the NFL. I didn't even, like I said, know how to sell to schools. And so what I figured was I would just talk to every single school who needed after-school enrichment. And when I talked to them, they'd be interested and they'd buy. So I hit a significant obstacle very early on. And it could have meant the end of Flex Academies. And I'm sure that I'm thinking about the people in the audience right now. You've all felt that at one point that this could be the end of the business. I knew that I could run a great enrichment program with Flex Academies. So I started approaching schools and started getting some programs lined up. But interestingly enough, guys, while the schools were interested and the PTAs were interested, the parents were not signing their kids up for our programs. I could have said, okay, I've got myself a bad idea here. Parents just aren't interested. We're not making money. But then I had an aha moment. I had been targeting the schools that I thought needed what I was offering because they didn't have after-school enrichment programs. But they didn't need an after-school enrichment program, in fact. They wanted an after-school enrichment program. So I needed to target the schools that had enrichment programs. The schools I was targeting, those kids were getting enrichment from outside. The parents were picking the kids up. So I took a step back. I reassessed who my ideal or perfect client was, who really needed what I was offering, not who wanted what I was offering, who needed what I was offering. So I got clear on my one perfect client. And I'm going to talk to you guys about window washing for one moment here, okay? Think about it this way. Think about it this way. You are a window washer. You make your money. You put food on your table by washing windows. And let's say you're in downtown Washington, D.C., and you see two buildings, okay? One building on the left has dirty windows. One building on the right has clean windows. In my mind, you should want to work with the building that has clean windows because that is your perfect client. That is your client that is saying, I already value what you offer. I already value a clean window. I love the smell. I love the look. I love the feel. So you're not trying to convince them. I had to pivot. Hopefully you guys know this reference here, friends. I had to pivot. And I looked at schools that already had enrichment programs. I was looking for schools that, if I was a window washer, had clean windows. And that's when I started getting the yeses. That's when I started getting the yeses. The yeses were coming because the clients that I was reaching out to, they were the perfect client. They wanted to work with me as much as I wanted to work with them. And that is an amazing feeling. And I've had that feeling at least 168 times over the last 2 years when I've started working with clients in the education space. When I work with my clients and they finally get that perfect client, they start to feel the power of one. They start to feel the power of getting those yeses and what that feels like. It doesn't feel like selling. Let me tell you that. So fast forward that business from my very humble beginnings of 0 schools. I was able to grow that business with my team to 82 schools in 6 states, partnering with over 500 providers. We raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the schools and PTAs. So I want you to ask yourself, am I clear who my ideal and or perfect client is? Do they have this problem? Is it painful to them? Are they willing to pay? And who's the one person I need to talk to? Now, you may be saying, Josh, I'm probably gonna have to talk to multiple people. This is the education space, bro. Are you new to it? No, I'm not. Been here since 2008. What I'm suggesting is that you need to find the one person out of all of the stakeholders, the one person whose life you can change by bringing in your product, your solution. and you have the conversation with them. So today, having scaled 2 businesses in the education space, I am qualified to give you some of these insights. Some of them you might have heard if you were at the Lead Team Partners conference in Virginia, but we've got some new information. Some of you might have heard some of this stuff if you've been to my masterclasses, but we've added a 5th element to what we talk about. We're going to talk about automations here. So people ask me all the time, talk to me about an education business that succeeds and ones that struggle and unfortunately call it quits. And to me, you need to have 2 very basic things, at least to begin. You have to have a valid offer. You have to have a valid offer that makes sense to people, that people want to buy. And then you have to be able to bring leads in on repeat. Those 2 things are extremely important. This is an important person to me. This is John Gamba, the man with phenomenal hair. And by the way, guys, I'm going to try and get a haircut in between our 10 o'clock and our 7 o'clock masterclass today. My hair's getting a little long. It'll never look as good as this guy's. John Gamba is my co-host of Breaking the Grade. He's a friend. He's a colleague. And John and I work very closely. Isabella knows that very well. John and I work very closely with companies in the education space and help them generate leads. He does it through the University of Pennsylvania. I do it through the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. We believe a rising tide is good for all ships. I want to share what I believe to be the 3 biggest secrets for EdTech startups and companies to get more leads. And by the way, just so you know, we've got a few other secrets coming your way. First one, just to remind everybody to make sure you're in the right place. And I hope you are now. This would basically be like the plane is taken off and you found out that you are flying to Dallas and you meant to be flying to Houston. So hopefully you're in the right place. The first step is to find that perfect client and to find them fast. When I talk to folks in the education space, entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, a lot of folks know that they need to get leads, but they don't really know how to get them. That's why you're here. I have found that the entrepreneurs who come to me, they kind of fall into 3 different buckets, and we're going to go over these buckets really quickly. First of all, great idea, no sales. They just want to know how to get that first client. We've all been there and done that. Second, your network is tapped out. Look, I'll admit it. I spent a lot of time leaning on people like John Gamba to help me grow my business to begin. I did that for my after-school business. I did that for my tutoring business. But eventually, your network, your referrals are tapped out, and you can't ask for more. Then we've got the companies. They're sitting prettier. These guys are making sales, but they want more. Now, let's talk quickly about these 2. Most of these founders, they've gotten into 1 school or 2 schools, and they want to get to 10 to 20 to 100. But they've got this challenge here. Scared of selling. Imposter syndrome is a very real thing. They don't want to be salesy or pushy. By the way, I don't want you to be salesy or pushy at all. And they're doing everything they can to avoid selling. And we're going to talk more about what that means. Then we've got these folks. These guys they're flowing. Or it may look like they are flowing. You can run a $10 million business in the education space. I've worked with clients who have, and really only have 1 client that pays you maybe 90% of your revenue. So you've really only nailed it big on 1, and you're trying to find leads everywhere else. So again, those people are facing the same challenges, but they haven't figured out how to scale. All of these folks need one thing, and that is a lead generation system. Let me talk to you about what a lead generation system is not. Getting excited here. A lead generation system is not creating random posts for social media. That will burn you out. It is not writing blogs. And yes, with AI, you might be able to write more blogs, longer blogs. But if nobody's reading those blogs because they're not effective, they're not helpful, then what good is that? going to networking events and handing out those business cards. Again, they end up right here in your desk. It's not buying an outdated list. And I've told you, I hate to sound like that because I sound like I'm talking to our daughter, Camila, that those lists can be very damaging. And it's not asking your network and hoping for more and more referrals. A lead generation system is going to help you get clients this week or this month, and it's going to help you scale. So let's talk quickly about slow burn methods. I've seen entrepreneurs waste a lot of time. These are the traps on slow burn methods. Slow burn methods, to be clear, are social media, PR, conferences, SEO, paying for ads, referrals. Those things can all be good too. But when done wrong, they are slow burn methods and they can burn the heck out. And I've seen entrepreneurs running out of cash because they just focused on these slow burn methods the wrong way. And I'm going to show you how you get results fast today, like this dude, this great dude, Matt Barinholtz. Matt came to the after school enrichment space around the same time I did in 2010. And then he joined the Ed Sales Elevation Experience probably 2 years ago at this point. Post-COVID, you could see what happened with Matt. He came to us, he had this freemium model, and we've all thought about that. I'm not a big fan of freemium. I'm not going to go off the rails here, Ken and Alvin, talking about freemium. I can talk to people directly about freemium and why I don't like it. But Matt had the freemium model. When we focused him on his signature solution, his offer, his true offer, and how he helps clients, and what transformation happens inside of a school, Matt's business became very different. You can be like Matt if you focus on your offer. If you want to get leads into your business this fall, you've got to do one thing. And you've got to do it fast, and it's hunting. Okay? You got to focus on what we call hunting methods. Ken, Alvin, just doing a check-in to make sure everything is okay. Right now, guys, I'm not looking at the chat because if I start looking at the chat, I'll get super distracted. I like kind of focusing on this, but Ken says we're good. I'm having some of my tea. We're going to get into hunting methods. But first, let me tell you what is not a hunting method. Finding a lead and selling to them. I talked about this at Lead Team Partners a couple of weeks ago in our conference. If you think this is a hunting method, then you're going to end up like this guy. Nobody wants to be this guy. That guy thinks you find a lead and you sell to them. That guy thinks that you cold call and you convince. That guy is wrong. But what you could then do, at least in your mind, you could say, well, I don't want to be that guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the person who sits on the bench and tries to do everything else other than selling. And I would say, let me know if you're this person, but I'm not looking at the chat. So in your own mind, are you this person that sits around and does everything they can to avoid selling? Maybe you'll update your website for the 10th time. Maybe you'll go back and work on that MVP. No. An MVP gets out the door. I think in theory, you really only have one MVP. Can't work on an MVP over and over again. And you take too long just getting into the sales because you were too scared to sell. And you don't want to be this guy, but you don't want to be afraid of selling. So the better way to do it without being salesy or pushy, boom, is the 3E method. I'm going to review this for the people who have been on our calls before because it helps. First, what we do is we laser target. We want to talk to the clients that we can help. I had a couple of wonderful conversations yesterday. And I know that I can help those clients that I spoke to. We reached out to those clients ourselves. Our messaging was on. Your messaging needs to be very, very clear to people, and it needs to be concise. And when people read that message and they say, well, look, I don't know who this person is, and they say, but their messaging is pretty good, let me go check them out. And they go check you out, and they see that you have spoken at a conference. By the way, I'll be speaking at Canadian EdTech later in October. I'm very excited about that with my friend Robert Martellacci. They see that you're posting on LinkedIn and you really know what you're talking about, and that other people are commenting on what you talk about, people you respect. That's your credibility booster. And then what those people do is they say, well, again, I don't know this person, but their messaging is good and their credibility is good. Yeah, they're right. That's me. I should spend the time talking to them. And then you set up a confirmation call. And I want you guys to notice that I don't call it a discovery call. I call it a confirmation call. That is on purpose. Because when you have your credibility boosted, when you have been nurturing your leads, when you have been helping people, coaching people, giving people value before you even speak with them, they are only confirming in a call that you are who you say you are. They are not just there for discovery purposes. There you go. That's what this looks like. Target, build, they research you, they book, and you've got a confirmation call. This isn't trying to sell to someone at all. It's a natural conversation. It feels like this. It feels like this conversation I was having in Chicago when I spoke at the EdTech Institute of Chicago. When you are able to achieve this, people sell themselves, and that feels great. They're there because they know their business will grow, and you know that your business will grow, and that's wonderful. So you don't feel like an imposter. You're not being salesy. You're not avoiding sales. And in fact, you've got a scalable system. Meet Rose. Rose is awesome. Wonderful Canadian. She was part of our early cohorts. Rose came tons of energy, obviously with that smile. Rose came, but she needed help kind of harnessing how she was going to convert people in the education space, higher ed, to join her. And it worked. We worked on her offer. But for Rose, we needed to create a formula that worked for her. For Brent, it was different. For Catherine, it was different. For the 165 other folks, it's been different. We believe that selling the education space is very personal. It also doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. You don't have to be one or the other. And if you're an introvert, it's okay. We've honestly found that introverts make some of the best salespeople. Look it up, because they listen. And when you realize you don't have to be selling, there's a lot of relief. I love this picture. I love this picture. I feel this way with the clients that I work with, that we are connected. And that's when you're going to start to get more leads, because you're going to have more confidence. You're going to have more clarity. So I want you to ask yourself, do you have a system to get leads and clients this week? Do you have that to get clients today? If not, what's holding me back? Again, I'm happy to talk to you about that. What could be holding you back? Are you targeting the right people? Are you putting yourself in a position that people say, yes, that's me? Are you building relationships? Are you coaching people before you even try and sell to them? Give them value. You guys know I'm always trying to do that. through my coaching, LinkedIn Lives, our shows, our emails. Step 2, you got to laser target. What does that mean? The fastest way in the hunting method to get people is to laser target. It takes time, but it's worth it. LinkedIn is a wonderful place to do that. Do this. Google yourself. And what might come up when you Google yourself? I'm imagining your website might. Most likely LinkedIn will come up number 2. For me, it does. It comes up number 2. And when people see your profile, what do they learn about you on LinkedIn? Do they learn that you know how to put a resume on LinkedIn, or do they know that you have created a sales funnel from your LinkedIn profile? Now, when I talk about putting a resume on your LinkedIn profile, what I'm talking about is this person. I'm sure she's very nice. She's in Miami. Hey, by the way, if you're in Miami this weekend, look up Tribe of Mentors. It's a wonderful group that I'm potentially going to join in Cabo in March. I can't make it to Miami this weekend, but you should try. Back to this. If your LinkedIn profile looks like this is a standard resume. It's, I hate to say it, kind of boring. You want it to look like this, guys. Way to go, Ken, on designing this banner here. You've got a professional banner. You've got a wonderful picture of Toy. She's looking at the camera, smiling. You've got a headline. And then you've got this professional about section. This is a wonderful LinkedIn sales profile. This one's pretty good too. It's got a formula that we're going to talk about. To have a formula with your headline, because you're going to be reaching out to pitch you, because you're tired of referrals, you're tired of Facebook ads, you're tired of going to conferences. You're going to target the right people. You're going to have good messaging. Your credibility is going to be boosted. People are going to say, that's me, and they're going to want to meet with you. Does that sound familiar? And when they reach out and get to know you, they want to see your headline. How do you help them? I help who? Using what method get which results? So your LinkedIn profile needs to be an instant credibility boost. We want people to say, hey, this person can help me. Again, I don't know them. I might not meet them for coffee or a hamburger, but I will meet them for 15 to 20 minutes and get to know them. You're probably saying, Josh, LinkedIn is a social media platform, isn't it? Well, to a degree it is. But people, I believe, are on LinkedIn to do business. There are superintendents, there are principals, there are teachers, there are presidents of colleges. And they're not there to see what you drank over the weekend or the game that you went to. That's for Instagram. By the way, you can follow me on Instagram. I go to a lot of games. Too old to drink a lot, but I go to a lot of games. So you can see me going to games. That's for Instagram. LinkedIn is a great place for thought leadership. By the way, only 4% of people on LinkedIn are actually writing, are actually producing content. So if you start producing good content, we'll tell you how, then you will stand out. Do you have to create a ton of content? The answer, thank you for asking, is no. You have to create content that shows that you know what you're talking about. And by the way, we have about 49 people, I think, that signed up for the morning session here. I know the list of people, and every single person seems to have been in the education space for decades. So you absolutely know what you're talking about. Guess what? There's 129,000 schools, K-12 and higher ed, on LinkedIn. If you owned a corner of the world of 129,000 schools, you'd be in a great place. LinkedIn is a powerful hunting tool. Look at Susan Gold. She was a client of Flex Academies, of the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. wonderful educator. She ran the Feynman School, a wonderful place to learn. If you wanted to be a part of the Feynman School, you would be able to get in touch with Susan because she was on LinkedIn quite often. You could also join a principal network that Susan was a member of. Now, don't just join the group and start posting, join the group and start coaching. Again, I want you guys to think about what you're doing from a coaching standpoint. When you write your emails, when you write your messages on LinkedIn, think of it as a coach. How can I help people? What value can I give to people? LinkedIn is like an online directory. It's like the good old yellow pages, right? And I want you to understand how powerful this is and how easy actually it is to find your perfect client and connect with them. You can do it very easily on LinkedIn. And there are even more powerful tools that you can use. We can talk about them. But LinkedIn is a great place to start. Again, think about how powerful this tool is and that there are 129,000 schools on LinkedIn. Catherine, she's the doll of DC, just raised money. She was in one of our first cohorts of the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. She joined us and said, I'm not into LinkedIn. I'm against LinkedIn. Okay, fair enough, Catherine. But give it a try. So Catherine did, and she focused on LinkedIn and she started booking engagements. She thought about LinkedIn the two ways I think you need to think about it. One, LinkedIn is like a conference. It's happening 24/7, meaning there are conversations happening that you should be joining and conversations you should be starting. Think about LinkedIn as a gym. You need to go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week for your body to make it effective. You need to go to the LinkedIn gym 3 to 5 times a week to get results. Catherine got the results. She got funded. And this works even if you're just getting started. Okay? You might not have the leads that Catherine does now, even if you're just getting started. And why does this help? Because you can boost your credibility. Why does this matter? When you boost your credibility, you get an opportunity like I got here. Although, to be truthful, I was scared shitless. This was my biggest conversation I'd ever had. It was a DC startup week. Credibility matters. Before a buyer agrees even to a call, they're saying, can I trust this person? Can they help me? So credibility is a very important thing, whether you are talking on podcasts, whether you are running your own show, whether you are doing a masterclass. People need to see you. They want to learn from you. They want to interact with you. Without credibility, outreach feels cold and it won't work. So how do we do this? LinkedIn, the banner, the profile, the headline. Boom, Catherine, 1, 2, 3. Your brand is important, especially in the education space. People want to see that you're professional and they can learn from you. The headline, I help who using what method get which results. The picture, the profile picture. What a wonderful profile picture of Dr. T from Coney Island, who joined one of our cohorts. Camera, it's professional. She's approachable. She's got credibility. You also need to post, again, 3 to 5 times a week. Yes. And when you do that, your story is your strategy. As you guys probably know, I've been talking about my story, especially my story that changed as of June 9th when my father passed away. And I think that some people might say that's kind of blurring the lines between personal and professional when it comes to LinkedIn. And you're damn right it is. Because I have not been at my best. And I've had wonderful people, several who are on this call today, make wonderful suggestions especially listening to Anderson Cooper's podcast on grief. I wouldn't have learned that if I hadn't spoken up about what I'm going through as of June the 9th. But I was able to relate grief to running a business. I was able to relate grief to being an entrepreneur. So if you can relate what you're going through wonderful pictures, I love that picture of my father at the Grand Canyon, then do it. Let people have an opportunity to get to know you. Grace did that. Grace worked in the New York City public schools for, I think, 15 years. Yeah, 15 years when COVID hit. And then she moved her family to South Dakota. Then she started the Lesson Laboratory. And she started the Lesson Laboratory literally with us in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. She didn't even have a URL. We helped her get that. We helped her get her EIN. And Grace looked at LinkedIn as an opportunity to build her authority, and it worked. Our course, the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, let me make this very clear, is not a LinkedIn course. However, LinkedIn is a great place to connect with people, to support them, and to eventually sell to them. Step 4, you don't just want leads, you want sales. How do we do that? You want people to go from connection to client. You want them to actually buy. You need to clearly communicate your value in a way that says, yes, this is what I want. And the most important thing you're going to do is not get that beautiful orange nail polish there. It's your messaging. Your messaging helps you go from connection to lead to sales call to sold. David Dworkin, he did it. David was a member of our cohort. He took his message, his offer, his signature solution. He took that to EIDR. And he showed the folks at ERDI his signature solution. And he showed those folks how he could transform their lives. These are principles specifically all across the country. He used LinkedIn. He built a powerful lead gen system. He had an offer for the principals, and they loved it, and they bought. And then David expanded outside of New York City. So how do you do that? Again, you clearly communicate your value with a signature solution. A signature solution is this clear visual roadmap. It shows people exactly how you will help them. People need to know very clearly how you will help them. It speaks to your clear niche, who you serve, and what problem you solve. Your signature solution is just you. Your signature solution is unique to you. Nobody else in the world has it, and it focuses on benefits, not how you do what you do, but why you do what you do and what happens for your exact perfect client. When you do this right, you stand out. And you become not only the best choice, but I could say the only choice, like David was with his signature solution. And it doesn't feel icky. It doesn't feel salesy. As my coach Tony said, you have that signature solution, and then your messaging comes from it. You're so comfortable with it. One last step, guys. The power of automation. Most founders lose deals as they get them to the finish line because of follow-ups, missing leads, and doing repetitive tasks because nobody wants to do repetitive tasks. And when you lose deals and you waste time, you're going to lose momentum. So automation helps you nurture leads. It helps you to send those wonderful follow-ups, and it helps you to personalize at scale. Yes, you can personalize at scale, and that's important to be able to do. So automation, here's 4 automations for you to think about. Number 1, You should have calendar invites. That's what my calendar looks like. It's nutty. This is my calendar inside High Level, which is the CRM we use, which I'm happy to talk to you guys about. I've used pretty much every single CRM that's ever been built, I feel like. You want people to be able to book right into your calendar. And if you've ever booked with me, you know that we send follow-up after follow-up after follow-up to make sure that you show up. 2, you need to have nurture sequences. When you have leads on repeat, when you have a full funnel, you most likely are going to have people who say no, which is okay. You need to continue to nurture people and give them value so when the time is right and or the money is right for them, they say yes. You need to have pipeline views. What I mean by that is you really want to understand where people are in your pipeline. For example, mine, they go from a lead to a contact to a confirmation call to a self-identification call, aka a strategy call, to hopefully a contact that has become a client. Also, you need to be able to create smart lists. A smart list means that you know where people came to you from. For example, if you are in this masterclass, we have you on a smart list that clearly indicates you joined us via this masterclass. Therefore, we know where people are coming from. When you have a system, you now have more of a business. The result, consistent pipelines, higher conversion rates, and you can spend more time on those warm leads. Now, guys, I've been walking you through the 3E method, believe it or not. Let's review it again. Boom. This is my signature solution, and this should be familiar to many of you. My offer for the clients that I work with, I take you from 0 leads to a steady flow of leads. And for some of you, I take you from steady to a heavy flow of leads. But I am going to change the way leads come into your business by working with you. I teach people how to fish for the right leads in the education space. It actually happened for Corey and Jesse and Chris. These guys have been in the education space for decades. They are phenomenal at selling. I worked with them to make sure they were better at it. They grew their business. And they even saw me doing what I did, and they said, well, if Josh can do it, we can do it. And they didn't feel salesy or pushy. These guys are the least salesy or pushy guys that I know. And what happened for them is they got 50 qualified leads within 30 days. You can fact check that, guys. 50 qualified leads within 30 days. Ernie Delgado, love this dude, out in Pasadena, Beyond Technology Education, came in. He's been in the education space for many years, tried it all, deep into his business. We were able to, in the education space, pull him out of his business a little bit and look about, well, at the last couple of decades and what he had been doing. Again, I love this quote here. It's hard to see the label when you're inside the bottle. So we took Ernie out of the bottle. He had a lot of proof. He had a lot of success. And he started implementing his own signature solution. And the principals were loving it because they now really understood what Ernie was doing. So during the last 45 minutes or, a little bit longer, we've been showing you the 3 secrets plus more, how to build that lead generation engine. Let's do a quick recap, okay? Ideal client, AKA perfect client, and the power of 1. Let's try and get you guys from slow burn to hunting methods, okay? I want you guys to use the power of LinkedIn. I want you to laser target. I want you to communicate your value. Think of your own signature solution. And I want you to know how to get your perfect client with a system. And you might be saying, wow, that feels like a lot of information. How am I going to do it? How am I going to do all of this? And or what should I do first? Well, I'll tell you what you can do. Check out our offer. Okay. We are willing to help you, hold your hand, and help you build a steady flow of high quality leads coming into your business. I'll be honest with everybody. We're going to move into the sales portion of the masterclass. This is when people drop off. If you've learned enough, if you're happy, go ahead. I get it. It's all good. Anyways, we're at the top of the hour. You might have a call. I get it. Hopefully you want me to help you set up a lead gen system as soon as heavenly possible, because it is time to start that work on building your pipeline for the winter and for the fall. So you are invited not to the Ed Sales Edge. You're invited to the edge of what we believe to be the most important thing you can do to the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. We've got 9 modules that we're going to talk about. Bottom left to top right. Perfect client, instant credibility, raise your hand, and then you guys can follow it. Take a look. I'll pause for a second so you can see the 9 steps that we use. Another part that is so unique about our space is our community. We have 9 intimate group coaching calls. They take an hour and a half each week. Yeah, that's a lot of time to spend together, but it works and it's helpful. You get to meet people like Brent, Rose, Jerry, Toy. And one of the parts that I always forget to talk about, so I'm glad we have this slide, is the community. I believe that I underestimated. Chris Kelly, who's a member of our most recent cohort that finished yesterday, the guy's been in the education space for, it feels like, a million years, said, Josh, don't underestimate the power of this community. Rose said it too. Brent said it too. Love Brent from my Al, except for the fact that he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. He's been a part of our community. We gave him accountability. Then there's Grace. She felt everybody was super supportive, and we were. She was just starting her business. We'd all been there. Then there's Catherine. Love, collegiality, and collaborativeness among CEOs is invaluable. Put that on the quote board. Well, we did. Kyle Schaefer runs a wonderful music business in Dallas, Fort Worth. And we were able to help Kyle, who sits in Pittsburgh but works in Dallas, find the right schools. Then there's Brett Isaacson. He wanted to elevate his status in the education space, and we did with him by him joining the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. Then there's my friend Sean. Sean runs Young Ninjas in LA, an after-school enrichment program. We helped him basically dominate LA. This is everything you're going to need to be successful. And here it is. Here's the Ed Sales Elevation Experience program. It's not going to be $9,400. No. But we've got bonuses coming your way. The cost right now, and this will end soon. I'll explain how. For the first 5 registrants, it's $3,000. You got to go to joshchernikoff.com/go to grab, I believe we have 2 slots left at 3. The price will go up to $3,500 when we've reached 5. And again, I'm not that extra special, although hopefully our daughter Camila thinks so. And that cinnamon bun we had, oof, that was in Copenhagen. That was an extra special cinnamon bun. If I can do it, you can do it. So basically, you've got 2 options right now. Don't do anything, or make this investment today. And it might not be small, but it's investment in time and money, and you will get a return. And how do I know that? Because your results are guaranteed. I guarantee you that we will bring in 3 of your highest converting, highest quality clients, or I will work with you until we do. So if you want another bonus. Let me get you one. You can do a 90-minute intensive deep dive with me before we get started. So if you buy today, this is for the next 24 hours, you grab those 90 minutes with me. What a lot of people will do is they'll take those 90 minutes and they'll break them up into meetings that we'll have later. So now we're going to rock and roll into the Q&A section. I'm looking at now the chat. Aurelie, glad this was good for you. Leslie, awesome that you joined. Brian, awesome to have you. Leslie's got a question here. Do you help people figure out who needs clean windows? That can be hard to figure out. Leslie, great question. Thank you for obviously understanding the metaphor of clean windows. And the answer is yes. I 100% help people figure out who needs the clean windows, because otherwise we're not bringing in the high qualified, high converting leads that you want. How do we do that? We first spend time. And I'll answer the question here from Speak Language Center, which I believe is another Leslie. We first spend time listening in the Raise Your Hand campaign. And when we do that, Leslie, when we listen, we then know whose windows we should be washing, or if people prefer dirty windows. We target, we listen, and then our messaging goes back to the people who want those clean windows. So the answer is yes. The 90-minute session, Leslie from Charlottesville, Virginia, the 90-minute sessions are, if you take advantage of the fast action bonus, you will lock in. Oh, Christina, my bad. Too many names running through my head right now. You lock in those 90 minutes. And when you lock in those 90 minutes, Christina, you own those. That's the fast action bonus. So you can spend 90 minutes with me working deep dive into your lead gen system before we get started in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. Or like I said, a lot of people will then break up those 90 minutes into 3 30-minute sessions. So if you're interested in joining the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, again, we've got 2 slots left at $3,000. Then the price goes up to $3,500. Let's see if we've got some other questions. I believe that we do. Andrew Taylor, awesome to have you. Love Scotland. We've got some other questions. I believe these came in before we started. When you see dozens of leads yet convert none, what's usually broken in your sales system? There's a few things that could be broken. Let's think about it. 1, are you targeting the right people? Are you targeting your perfect client? And when I say perfect client, I mean somebody who wants to work with you as much as you want to work with them. You know, what else could be broken? Is it your credibility? Maybe you've been working in this space for a very long time, yes, and people might know you, but do they know how you can help them? That's boosting your credibility. Do you have a clear offer? That could be something that's broken in your system. It may be clear to you how you help people, but is it clear to the people who you want to buy? How's your messaging? That's another thing that could be broken in your sales system. How's your messaging? Is your messaging converting? Not open rates. Open rates are BS, guys. Is your messaging converting? Hopefully that gives you some things to think about in your sales system. Let's go for another question. What else we got? When are the live group coaching sessions? Great question. See you later, Christina. Great question. Let me answer your question first. Our live group coaching cohort sessions are going to be for this next cohort on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock in the morning. I believe we're starting October the 14th. They will be on Tuesdays starting at 10 o'clock Eastern for an hour and a half. There will be 9 other companies there. If you take one of those slots, there will be 9 other companies there, all in the education space. It's a long time to meet, but it's worth it. What else we got? I just hit this button because I thought I was moving to the next question. And I'm glad, Christine, you already rewrote your LinkedIn. That's awesome. What else we got, guys? Question. How do you re-engage leads who have ghosted you in the spring? Let me tell you what you don't do. You don't call them on the phone. You don't keep sending them emails. Here's a wonderful way to do it. Comment on something they put on LinkedIn. That helps you to get back on their radar. Or you could reach out to them via LinkedIn, but don't say, are you ready to buy? You could reach out to them on LinkedIn. You could say, hey, I just wrote this post on LinkedIn. What do you think? You could reach out to them via email and you could say, I was just featured in a blog post, in an article. I just spoke at this conference. Just want to let you know. So there's other ways without sounding desperate or salesy that you can check in with people. Fire away, guys. Another question. What metrics should you track weekly to know your pipeline is healthy before it collapses? Great question. I would imagine that comes from one of our people who's a little bit further along, because that's really an automations and data question. To me, what you should track is certainly the number of leads that you get, but highly qualified leads. And I encourage you to start ranking leads. When a lead comes in, you could give them an A, B, C, or a 1, 2, 3. 1 being an amazing lead, 3 being not so sure. And then see how people move through your pipeline. You want to know how long it takes somebody to move through your pipeline. You want to know where people get stalled in your pipeline. Then you want to know if they're going to sign up. And if they don't sign up and that happens, is it a you problem? Is it a you problem in that your offer wasn't clear enough? Or is it a they problem? A they problem might be that the time or the money is not right for them. That's fine. Give me another question. Please keep them coming. Most founders struggle to scale outreach without sounding robotic. What's your approach to personalization and automation that feels human? Great question. How can you not sound robotic, especially when most of us are leveraging good old AI? First of all, if you're using AI, get somebody like Alvin on your team who's going to train up your AI and spend many hours training up your AI so that it sounds like you. How do you not sound robotic? Is that you're passionate and knowledgeable and you practice. In general, I talk about the same things over and over again because the challenges that my perfect clients have, they are spread across my perfect clients. So I get very comfortable talking about the same things over and over again. I try and keep it fresh. I try and keep it fun. But because I know what I'm talking about, and it's a very narrow scope, then I do not sound robotic. Do we have any other questions, guys? Do we have any other questions? Apparently we do. In September and October, what's the shift in school behavior? How do you adapt? So in September and October, yes, you've got to be thinking about your pipeline. First, I hope you delivered in your school, your K-12 school, your university, and you nailed that. But then I want you to begin thinking about planting seeds with your perfect client so that you can start to talk to them about contracts in March, April, May. So the shift has to be delivery in September, October. The shift has to be October, November, December. You are planting seeds. You are reaching out. You are trying to coach your perfect client. You're trying to build that network on LinkedIn. You're trying to get the speaking engagements to show that you know what you're talking about. So that in January, February, March, you can say, hey, let's have a conversation. And this person will say, great, I've been following everything you're saying. I would love to have a conversation. And then March, April, May, you're closing contracts. June, that contract is closed. July and August, you're getting ready. September, you're delivering. And then the cycle hums again. So everybody, I appreciate you joining us in this masterclass. We have a bunch of people who stayed until the end. That's really wonderful. We're at the end of this masterclass. If there are any other questions that you might have, feel free to shoot them in or shoot them directly to me. We're going to share a special link for people to book calls with me. If you want to talk about the masterclass, you have questions. If you want to talk about the Ed Sales Elevation Experience and you want to lock up one of those last spots at $3,000, let's do it. But you might want to talk first, and I get that. Joe sliding in a question here. I work with the marketing departments, but I find they don't show up on LinkedIn as often as heads of school do. Should I consider targeting heads of school instead? Joe, I think it's a great question. And because you have the knowledge now that more heads of school are on LinkedIn versus the marketing departments at these independent schools, I absolutely think that it makes sense to target the heads of school on LinkedIn. Because you know, and because we've talked, you absolutely know what happens for a head of school when they work with a professional photographer like Joe. So you are able to talk to them about the transformation that will occur in their school when they work with a professional photographer like you. You are able to demonstrate that through your posts on LinkedIn. Yes, can anybody grab a phone and take pictures, but you can't grab a phone and take pictures like Joe can. So we need people on LinkedIn, those heads of school, to say, I learned a lot from Joe. Now I know why a professional photographer is better than somebody on my team just using their iPhone to take a picture. If your posts speak to the heads of school, Joe, then I think you're in a really nice place. And then you can continue to target, potentially via email, the marketing teams. Hopefully that makes sense. Always happy to talk more with you. Maybe next time we can cut out the Philadelphia Eagles talk, but I'll take it if I get a chance to talk to you. Guys, we also put that link to book right there in the chat. Feel free to use that. That's a special link for people who are on the masterclass. It will be a priority in my schedule for people to meet. Joe corrected me. Videography. Fair enough, Joe. Fair enough. But you get it. Feel free to grab that time with me. If there are more questions, go for it. Send them along. Happy to meet. For now, we're going to wrap up this masterclass. I want to thank my whole friggin' team. Samya in India. Alvin in Nigeria. Ken. Yeah. Somebody on my team is playing with the cheering, and I believe that's Alvin. Ken in the Philippines. We got another Go Eagles. Dear God. But always great to have you, David. Aureli in Mexico. Maiko in the Philippines. Kim in the Philippines. I'm here in great Washington, D.C. Happy to help you guys. Thank you for joining. We'll do this again tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm going to see if I can get myself a haircut. My daughter says, I don't know if you guys have watched the series of Lemony Snicket's Unfortunate Events. She says, I start to get these curls. I look like the bad guy in Lemony Snicket's. I'm going to try and get a haircut in between now and then. Anyways, thank you for joining. Thank you for sticking around. And I appreciate you guys. Appreciate my team. I appreciate our community. And I look